What's up, guys? Welcome to GoGo Motoring YouTube channel. This is going to be the third video of a series of what you need to know videos I'm making with several BMW Z cars. In the first video, I told you what you needed to know about the first BMW Z car, the BMW Z1, a limited production vehicle with vertically retractable doors that was produced from 1989 until 1991. In the second video, I told you about the second BMW Z car, the BMW Z3, which was BMW's first mass-produced Z car. In today's video, I will tell you what you need to know about the BMW Z3 M Coupe. And you should probably watch the What You Need to Know video about the BMW Z3 before you watch this video, because in that video, I go more in depth about the BMW Z3. This video will focus specifically on the BMW Z3 M Coupe. Let's begin by telling you how the BMW Z3 Coupe came to be. Legend has it that a renegade group of about 5 BMW engineers led by Burkhard Goschel decided to build a BMW Z3 M Coupe after the initial BMW Z3 came out. The engineers weren't happy with the lack of stability that was caused in the BMW Z3 Roadster due to the semi-trailing arm rear suspension from the BMW E33 series. And as a result, they wanted to work on improving that car. So they would work on after work, on the weekends, creating the coupe version of the car. So the question comes up, why did they want to make a coupe? There's several reasons for that. Number one, the coupe just by its very design, is going to be a much more rigid car than a Roadster is going to be. If you think about it, with a Roadster, you've got the engine in the front, you've got the rear wheels in the back, and those two parts of the car, when you're dealing with a convertible, are only connected by the floor of the car, the underbody of the car. So you don't have the connection from the roof to kind of keep those two ends together. And what that creates in a vehicle is flex. And it doesn't make the car stiff, which has an impact on how the car handles and feels like when you're driving it in corners. So car enthusiasts generally are like coupes because of the extra rigidity that it provides. So when Goschel and the 4 other BMW engineers decided to improve the BMW Z3, they decided to improve it in part by creating a coupe to improve the rigidity of the car. So the fixed roof added the rigidity to the car, and then the extra weight that was caused by the roof created weight over the rear wheels, which helped improve the handling on the Z3. And when they built this car, they then showed it to the BMW bosses, the executives, and tried to convince them to allow this car to go into production. And they sort of received mixed reviews from it. Many of the bosses didn't really like the way that it looked, and we'll talk about that in a minute. And they just weren't sure that that it was going to sell well to justify its production. But ultimately, they decided to approve the project, and the BMW Z3 M Coupe was born. And there were basically 2 different trims that were created. First, the 2.8 liter BMW Z3 Coupe, which is sort of your entry-level coupe, producing 193 horsepower, and then the M version of that car. And the M Coupe was released in 1999, a year after the M Roadster came out in 1998. So let's talk about the engine that was put into the Z3 M Coupe. In North America, and this is important to note because the first 2 years of the BMW Z3 M Coupe, the 1999 and the 2000, they actually, they came equipped with different engines in Europe and in North America. In North America, the Z3 M Coupe came equipped with the S52 engine from the E36 M3 that was produced in North America. And that S52 engine produced 240 horsepower. It was a 3.2 liter inline six that would go 0 to 60 in about 5.4 seconds and do a quarter mile in about 13.9 seconds. Had 236 pound-foot of torque. In Europe, so those model years 1999, 2000, the engine in that car came from the E36 M3 that was offered in Europe, which was the S50-B32 engine, and that was producing 321 horsepower. So for the first 2 years, there was a significant difference in performance from as far as the engine is concerned between the Z3 M Coupe that was produced in North America and the one that was produced in Europe. But then in 2001 and in 2002, BMW replaced the S52 engine that was in the E36 M3 that was equipped in the Z3 M Coupe and replaced that with the S54 engine from the E46 M3 so that's for 2001 and 2002. And that particular engine produced 315 horsepower. It was also a 3.2 liter inline six, but as a result of that extra horsepower and the extra torque at 251 pound-foot of torque, the car would actually go 0 to 60 in about 4.8 seconds and would do a quarter mile in 13.2 seconds. And that car was a little bit heavier at about 3,100 pounds, 3,146 as opposed to 3,070. All of the BMW Z3 M Coupes came equipped with a 5-speed manual transmission. And they also had upgraded suspension and upgraded brakes, and all of that sort of helped, fix some of the handling issues that were prevalent in the first, sort of your Z3 Roadsters, your run-of-the-mill Roadsters that were being released. Let's talk about the sales of the BMW Z3 M Coupe. There were actually only 2,180 S52 engine-equipped Z3 M Coupes in the U.S. that were produced from 1999 and 2000. There were only about less than 2,200, and then there were even less coupes sold that came with the S54 engine. Those that were sold in 2001 and 2002, only 678 were sold. So as a result, the price of these cars has increased quite a bit. When the Z3 M Coupe came out that had the S54 engine, the starting price for that car was initially $45,000. Now, those cars with low mileage are selling as high as $65,000. So even though this car wasn't particularly popular when it was released, since that time it has become a cult classic, and they are highly collectible cars, especially those that come with the S54 engine that has the extra horsepower. So let's talk about the looks of this car. I mean, that's probably the most controversial thing about this car. That's one of the reasons that the BMW board was not even sure whether they wanted to produce the car, because this car has a very particular look, right? And in fact, due to its looks, it's been named, it's nicknamed the clown shoe, right? Because you've got, this high roof, flat roof, kind of rectangular roof that goes all the way to the back wheels. And then you've got a long hood. So when you're looking at the car from the side, the car literally looks like a shoe. So that's where that sort of nickname, the clown shoe, comes from. And even though the car has a very particular look to it, it has a very unique look to it, it's not necessarily a look that, would be considered classically beautiful. Again, it's very rectangular looking, it's very boxy. The car is as wide as it is long. It does have much, wider hips, as you can see here, and that actually helps with the suspension, having that wider rear track, and allows you to put, wider tires on the back, and helps, with some traction to an extent. But yeah, if you kind of look at this car, it looks very sort of purpose-built. it almost kind of tells you what this car's about. It's got a brawny engine, right? Doesn't weigh a lot, 3,000 pounds, over 300 horsepower. It's as wide as it is long, and you know that that's going to have an impact on the car's stability. So the car just looks almost like a little mini, Frankenstein that's been created by car enthusiasts. And it kind of, if I were to kind of equate what this car looks like to a breed of dog, for example, the breed of dog that comes to mind to me is like a bulldog, right? A lot of people, I don't think bulldogs would be considered, classically the prettiest of dogs, but you almost appreciate the way they're built, because the way that they look, the way they're built, it kind of tells you what their function is. And I feel like in many ways, that's what you get with this Z3 M Coupe. You get a car that's clearly been designed by engineers and not stylists. It's a car that clearly looks mean, looks aggressive, looks analog. The car that you want to kind of grab by the scruff of the neck and just drive hard. And that's really what that's what the looks convey. And it's interesting that that's the case, especially when you take into account that the Z3 Roadster is one of the best looking cars out there. It's a classically beautiful car, and then simply by adding this roof, it almost kind of changes the looks of the car and makes it very, very unique. So it's a good looking car. It's not necessarily my favorite design. I think the Z4 M Coupe looks a lot better. And I think that the Z3 M Coupe would look a lot better if it had a fastback roof instead of a roof that effectively straight all across and then just suddenly drops, behind the rear wheels, almost like a station wagon. So again, I much prefer the look of the Z4 M Coupe, but I can certainly respect and appreciate the looks of this car and what it's trying to convey. In fact, I think that the looks of this car suit its character particularly well. I've actually never driven, obviously, I haven't driven this one because it's a museum, and I haven't driven a Z3 Coupe. I've been in one. One of my mentors, my first job, he had I think 2.7 liter Z3 Coupe. So I've ridden inside of that car, and it's exactly kind of what you would expect from an old school BMW. It had stiff suspension. But I had plenty of room for, a guy my size. But, I've driven an E46 M3 before, so I know what the engine would feel like, and I can only imagine what this car would feel like if you were driving it. I think it'd be awesome to rev that engine out. I think that, the noise they produce and the speed at which this car would move would be exhilarating. I think that it will not be the easiest car to drive, having all that power with a short wheelbase and a rear suspension that's not, particularly known for being super stable in the corners. I think that would be, it would be a handful. So I think it'd be a fun car to drive, but I think it'd be one of those cars where you have to be really focused when you're driving it, and I would imagine, often you would have to hold on for dear life if you're really pushing that car on the back roads. So that's it for this What You Need to Know video about the BMW Z3 M Coupe. Thank you for watching. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, leave a comment below, and subscribe to my channel. There'll be plenty more videos coming your way. The next video is going to be a What You Need to Know video about the BMW Z8. Thanks, guys.